Today on PHNX Suns, we're talking about the Phoenix Suns snagging Haywood Highsmith over All-Star Weekend, plus recapping from Matt Ishbia to Devin Booker, a very eventful weekend for local athletes here. A call coming up right after this. Psychos and sickos unite for a We're All Getting Highsmith edition of the PHNX Suns Show, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. The whole crew is back, minus the freckled mom, but we got Noah back behind the Mac, where it all started for him. But I'm Eric, that's Gil. We got Espo and Steven all here on a Monday to talk about a very eventful couple of days for the Phoenix Suns. We'll talk Haywood Highsmith. We'll talk about Devin Booker and Matt Ishbia taking over All-Star Weekend, plus look ahead a bit to next year's All-Star Weekend, which will be right here in the Valley. But thank you all for being right here, right now with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Gentlemen, thanks for holding down the fort while I was gone. Some great stuff from you all, and I'm so glad we get to talk about Phoenix Suns basketball again and their push for the playoffs.
Absolutely, man. Next man up mentality. We learned from the Suns. We just had to step up a little bit. Hopefully, we did you made you proud.
I might just be like Jalen Green. I might just sit out the whole
Taking
season.
the lead for whatever
I'll
reason.
get out. Oh, my hamstring.
I just shifted a few seats down. We're good. I'm the Colin Gillespie of the whole thing. Yeah, whatever needs.
Honestly, I probably am the Jalen Green of this podcast, considering how often I get injured.
No, not enough tattoos of.
That's fair. Also, my wife is not 20-something years older than me, so maybe I'm not the Jalen Green of this podcast. Hey, Steven, how are you doing?
Is your wife 20 years older than you? An awkward toss to you.
How do we go from the intro to that quickly?
Have you met me? I've been ready to go.
Hey man, speaking of people who have really old women in their life, like what was that? What was that toss?
I'm just saying, hey, Steve, I love saying
the grenade.
I love saying something out of pocket and tossing it to Steven. I love it.
Why? Yeah, I don't know why. That's a weird kink you need to get fixed, sir. That ain't it.
Speaking of weird kinks,
That
Jalen
ain't
Green.
it.
No, I'm kidding.
That's not it. Anyways, I'm here to talk. I'm here and looking forward to talking basketball. Very important 27 games for the Suns, and they've made some additions to help them navigate that, maybe with more versatility.
I really don't need to be here. You could just drive the show, Steven, because that was a wonderful setup to talk about the Suns making a pretty big on the margins addition over All-Star Weekend, signing Haywood Highsmith, who was bought out by the Brooklyn Nets before the season. Haywood Highsmith has been recovering from an injury this entire time as well, but this is somebody that, Steven, you and I talked about a ton over the offseason, about maybe somebody who would fit into what the Suns could do here. So I know you and Gil recorded the audio-only episode, but for those who weren't able to listen, what were your first thoughts when the Suns were announced to have signed Highsmith?
Yeah, I mean, blue-collar boy on arrival, and that's with immediacy. The first thing he's going to bring is multiple efforts, physicality, and a certain type of energy that's going to be contagious for the other four players on the court. It's also going to be a thorn in the side of whoever it is that might be guarding him or who he might be guarding on the other end of the floor. So you start there, you can build out a foundation for seeing what his role will look like with the team.
First thing that came to my mind when we talked about buyout guys, and you were like, yeah, we should do it. Like, Suns should definitely make that happen. And then it kind of caught me off guard, honestly, the timing of it happening Saturday. But the big one I was thinking about was his health. I think that is what many people are going to wonder about. He had surgery to repair his meniscus in August. So it's been 6 months. He was initially given an 8 to 10 week timeline, and he was cleared to get back on the court on February 11th. So as we know this franchise did their due diligence as far as that goes. But then thinking secondarily, okay, 6'5", plays both forward positions, been a solid shooter. What you said on the pod is a bigger version of Jordan Goodwin, which that should excite Suns fans as much as we enjoy watching Jordan Goodwin and that blue-collar nature he brings to this team. Now it's just, a fresh leg, so to speak, to add to a team who had been a little flat lately.
I mean, honestly, my first thought was 6'5", 220. Does that answer what you're looking for, right? Because everybody's like, big man, need a big man. And 6'5" does not qualify as a big man in
Not
most
quite.
people's minds, but I think it's all about the way he plays and the kind of things he does. And to your point, Steven, you're getting a guy that very much fits the mold of this team, is a pretty good rebounder for his size, and adds that 3-point versatility. To me, this is a guy that you look at along with Amir Coffey and you go, maybe Ryan Dunn's minutes are in danger here, or say Royce O'Neal goes on a cold streak. I think Haywood Highsmith could be the guy that goes in there, can play the defense, can get those boards, and can hit threes when necessary, where he's a little Royce insurance. God forbid Royce goes into a slump. So
Yeah, I think I understand why maybe people would not be in love with it when you just look at the physicality or the stature of Haywood Highsmith, but this is an incredibly smart basketball player who has played very meaningful minutes, especially in the postseason as well, for a Miami team that, if you're looking at what the Suns are trying to do from a culture perspective, very much fits what what the identity is supposed to be here. And so I feel like this is a pretty low risk signing. Anybody on the buyout market, you're not exactly looking for a franchise altering type of player. And in the playoffs, yes, you need bigs, but the Sun centers have been really good. And if you just want to double down on your identity, I think that this is about as good as you could have gotten on the buyout market. But let's take a look, Steven, at just some of the raw stats for those who are unfamiliar with Haywood Highsmith. Here are some of his averages for this for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, so only averaging 5.8 points per game over these last 3 seasons since he's really been in the main rotation, all of that with the Miami Heat. Even in the starting capacity for 2.5 or 1.5 for the last 3 seasons. 55.5% from 2-point range. Most of that is either him via cuts, offensive rebounds, or in transition more than anything else. 3.4 rebounds on average as well. 37.8% from deep on a modest 2-ish attempts a game on average. And then it's also averaging over the course of these last 3 seasons 21.4 minutes. That minute total for him with Miami over the last 3 seasons increased by about maybe 2.5 minutes a game, kind of speaking to how he's ascended into a main rotation role.
can he just take his free throws from the top of the 3-point line? I mean, it looks like he might be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
62%, not great in that way, but you know,
How many free throws is he taking, right?
I
He's
don't know.
not taking somebody off the
He
dribble.
was
and
in the
initiating
70s.
contests.
He was in the 70s his last season with Miami, which helps for sure.
he took 0.6 free throws.
Right, so you miss one. You miss one, and your percentage is screwed. Can I tell you the one thing that does concern me with Haywood Highsmith, besides obviously, how is he going to look coming back from injury? He hasn't played basketball all season. Can we throw the graphic back up really quick? Now, you look at these graphics. You look at the right side first. I want to look at the left side. Why does he look like Eric Gordon and Royce O'Neal had a baby?
Oh, I said the same thing. I said the Eric Gordon thing straight to Gil.
Like
this morning.
this looks like somebody AI generated Eric Gordon.
It actually does. It actually does.
And look, all due respect to Haywood Highsmith, but like that was kind of my first thought when I saw this. But the thing is, Gil, if you can get a rotation player, right? Like the Suns maybe got a rotation player in Amir Coffey for almost nothing. This is literally for nothing because you still have an open roster spot. It doesn't take you over the tax. Even if he plays, let's say 10 minutes a game, that's still a win.
Absolutely. And you talked about the numbers that stood out on that. The one that stood out to me was the minutes per game. Last year, just a shade under 25 minutes per game for a Heat team that was flawed, but they were a playoff team and like a fun little nugget or part of Haywood Highsmith lore. If you guys remember when Jimmy Butler stormed out of practice, it's because he found out Haywood Highsmith had taken his starting job. So he is the guy from that story. As you mentioned, meaningful minutes, had played in the finals with that Heat team that went to the finals in 2023. And one thing that Steven and I talked about, this is a guy who played all 4 years of college at the D2 level. So he was an outstanding player at Wheeling University. So this guy's a chip on his shoulder, which really does fit in with the culture and the identity of this team to grind from being D2 undrafted to now be a rotational player in this league. So The fact that he was able to play over 20 minutes per game for a perennial playoff team that plays hard, that has an identity, leads me to believe that whether it's 7 minutes or 15 minutes here in Phoenix, he should be able to pick up pretty quickly because he checks a lot of the boxes of the characteristics that his team values.
Well, we talked about it. The second year that is an option for the Suns. That leads me to believe he's going to play minutes, but you don't have that option if you're not actually going to test drive, right? You're not going to be like, we're going to throw that in there and we're not going to play you at all. I imagine he's going to get his opportunity to play a role in this offense and defense too. He's a very good defender. So
Yeah, to that point, per Basketball Index, he's one of their 10 most impactful point of attack defenders over the last 3 seasons, which I think matters a lot considering the crop of names that he was amidst with that. Guys like Alex Caruso from his Bulls years, which was an all defensive team selection for him. And then other guys mixed in there like Dyson Daniels, who, needless to say, did a lot that people liked last season at the point of attack in particular. So that's the position that's hardest to guard defensively in the league. It is what defensive anchorship is in a modern sense, and I'll continue to say that because back in the day, you could get away with having a good center and just worry about guys getting to the basket. Now, you can't worry about that part. If guys is just a melee of drives going at a guy in the paint, you got to have somebody that sets a tone for the defensive shell that you want.
do you think there's actually a chance that he could eat into Royce's minutes based on that graphic we saw that we talked about last week, the blow-by percentage that Royce has the highest of at the point of attack? Like, to me, it's a guy that fills that role, that shoots almost as effectively from 3 as Royce. So now you have a whole nother option in terms of that point of attack defense.
Yeah, there's going to be questions about his shooting in particular because like the percentages are really good, but they're very low, and it's going to be about what is these percentage looking like when teams are either helping off of him or stashing guys on him and doing things like that, the things that Royce doesn't have to worry about on offense. But to your point, is his defensive impact going to be sustained at a level that Royce's sometimes inconsistent three-point making ability kind of varies at? If there's a trade-off there, then now you have an option to potentially eat into those minutes. I think I have a lot more to say about the rotation part of it, but I think that is a fair question. And to Gil's point that you brought up on the audio-only pod and then you did just a few minutes ago, having another guy that's been bet against and been able to win on odds just off of the work and building up and stacking that work, I think says a lot about, again, just fitting into the team culture.
Well, he feels like a middle ground between Royce O'Neal and Ryan Dunn, right? You need a little bit of better defense, but you don't want to completely lose the shooting. Okay, we'll throw Haywood Highsmith out there. He's also somebody where he's not super old. He's 29 years old, right? Only 5 seasons in the league because of obviously playing all 4 years in college, has played legitimate minutes. You look at a lot of guys on the Suns team, and while there are some playoff experienced players, Devin Booker, right? Royce O'Neal has been in some playoff runs. Grayson Allen has been in some playoff runs. There are a lot of younger guys they are going to be relying on if they do make it to the playoffs. Mark Williams, Oso Ighodaro, Ryan Dunn, Colin Gillespie. I know Colin was on that Denver team, but he wasn't playing. This is somebody else in the rotation who has seen high-level playoff basketball and can do some of the things that Ryan Dunn could do, maybe to a lower level as far as like what Ryan Dunn's hypothetical peak would be, but has put more on tape from the defensive standpoint in his career than Ryan Dunn has, and not completely lose the offensive side of things. You can never have enough 3-and-D wings, Gil, and it just feels like this is a solid insurance plan and kind of this middle ground between the poor defense and really good shooting of Royce, the poor on-ball defense, and then the really good on-ball defense but poor shooting of Ryan.
That's the thing, too, and Steven has clipped some stuff on social media that really hits the point home with what Haywood Highsmith can do, and we talk so much about the pickup points defensively. And adding another guy, adding depth, because that is one of the most tiring things you can do in a game. Picking up 80, 85, 90 feet away from the basket. Now adding one more person that you can trust to do that at a high level. Again, as I mentioned, if it's just 8 to 14 minutes, whatever it is, that lightens the load on a Colin Gillespie, lightens the load on a Jordan Goodwin, to where you can keep these guys fresh. And now you can have 40 to 48 minutes of picking up full court and heating those ball handlers up. And then, as you mentioned, it being the modern version of anchoring a defense because it slows the offenses down and the opposing offenses starting at 18, 17, 16 seconds left on the shot clock, and it's disrupting everything like that. So I think it just hits home, and Ryan Dunn as well, another guy who can do that. So now you have this group of guys who can do similar things to opposing ball handlers who are trying to get their team into the offense. I think that is going to be the biggest thing. What he does offensively will just be a little bit added bonus, whatever it is, whether it's shooting at 35 to 40% from three. He's going to get a lot of quality looks too. But I think that we can count on the defense. I think he's going to be ready to do that.
The one thing I don't like about him, and I've said this before, he sounds like if they were to write a character in One Tree Hill that played ball on the team, Haywood Highsmith sounds like the kind of name they'd come up with.
So we have the pros. So the pros are basketball. The cons are kind of looks like AI generated Eric Gordon, and his name would be in One Tree Hill.
Yeah,
so I'm feeling like we're feeling pretty good about this.
I mean, especially for a guy that you add in February on a vet minimum contract, who essentially doesn't have any wear and tear this year because he's been recovering from an injury, but's ready to go now.
So Killer Rex in the chat asks, can he hit a corner three? We have those stats for you. Plus, we also have some more defensive stats that Steven pulled. We'll continue to talk about Haywood Highsmith. Where does he fit in the Suns rotation? Who would be the best fit next to him? Because we talk about, hey, maybe taking Ryan Dunn, maybe Royce. Maybe they play together. Maybe that's the solution that all of this has. We're going to dive into all of that. Plus, eventually, we'll get to some All-Star Weekend talk. We'll do all of it on the other side of our first break. Look, the second half, the quote-unquote second half of the season is going to be mine on Bet365. I recalibrated during the All-Star break, and I had to just dive into the Bet365 app with 90 million users worldwide and live streams of almost 800,000 events each year. It is never ordinary over at Bet365. I got a new game plan, but I always enjoy opening up the app and dipping my toes outside of the basketball world, especially as baseball is right around the corner. And right now, breaking news from Bet365, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
We saw lots of triples this weekend at the 3-point contest, but you've actually played Arizona Lottery Scratchers now. We tossed you one the other day.
That's true.
And so now you've been indoctrinated.
Can I hold a dollar, Gil?
No. You can play these triple themed games, which are fantastic from the Arizona Lottery. You got the gas one that we tossed you. I'm going to get you one of these triple games because you can triple the fun. It's just that easy. You can play these 3 exciting triple themed games from Arizona Lottery. Play Triple Red Sevens, which I love. I get that one a lot. Triple Cash Payout Scratchers for the chance to win top prizes of $100,000. Almost enough for you to quit this job and tell us to shove it. And then you can get the Triple Red Sevens Fast Play that has a progressive jackpot starting at $30,000, which isn't quite enough to tell us that. You can find all 3 tickets at a retailer near you.
Gentlemen, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is a couple weeks from now, it'll be over. You'll have missed your opportunity. The good news is there's still time to get to Phoenix Raceway March 5th through the 8th to witness history at Phoenix Raceway, because for the first time ever, NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend at Phoenix Raceway, and you can get a front row seat to all of it. It's the kind of energy you really have to feel in person to understand. Plus, Phoenix Raceway is in the side of the Estrella Mountains. It is a beautiful, maybe a top 1 sporting location in the world. It is that great, and you get to see the greats like Kyle Larson, the 2025 Cup Series champion, return to the track where he won it all just a couple of months prior. So don't miss out. NASCAR, NTT, IndyCar Series at Phoenix Raceway, March 5th through the 8th. Get your tickets now at the link in our description. You don't have that much time, but you got a little bit. Once again, March 5th through the 8th. NASCAR, NTT, IndyCar Series at Phoenix Raceway.
Back here at PHNX, appreciate all you guys spending your Monday afternoon with us talking about Haywood Highsmith, and we might see him make his debut Thursday. First game out of the break. So if you want to catch that, come check out the game with us at our watch party at Gila River's Wild Horse Pass Casino. Game time is at 6:30. We'll be going live for pregame around 6 o'clock. Come kick it with us, hang out with me, Eric, Steven, Espo. Freckle Mama will be back. Sorry, Noah. But you can come hang out with us too if
Come
you
on,
want
Noah.
to. Yeah, you
We'll
know,
see
might
you
as well.
there, Noah.
Yeah, we'll see you there. So, see,
Yeah,
there
Noah's
it
gonna be
is.
there.
I'm taking that as a yes. So come hang out with us. Check out Haywood Highsmith. Maybe that's his debut. I mean, there's going to be some minutes there on the wing since Dillon Brooks will be unavailable on Thursday.
Maybe that's why they signed him. They're
That's
like, hey, we
Dillon
got
Brooks' insurance. We haven't even talked about the fact that Dillon Brooks is unavailable Thursday. So maybe we'll see Haywood Highsmith Thursday.
MVP. 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 That's for you. You just did your first lottery.
Oh, yeah.
There you
There you
Let's
go.
go, Gil. Yeah.
Go, Gil.
That was my debut.
And Kev, you should come to the watch party so we can know
Dude,
you're
is that
real.
even a question, Kev?
Of course.
Is that even a question, Kev? To answer Killer Rex question about can he hit a corner three, Steven, you pulled some of his numbers.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and get the 3-point shooting graphic up for the 3 part of his 3-and-D archetype. So over the last 3 seasons, he shot 38.2% on catch and shoot 3-point opportunities. Above the break in particular, he shot 34.3%. Obviously not the best, but where he is very, very, very good at is from the corners in particular. 42% from the corners in general over the last 3 seasons. Obviously, again, on modest volume, considering the team he was with, I imagine the Suns and Jordan not lean into that and extrapolate as much of that 42% as they possibly can on a higher volume. From the left corner in particular, over 3 seasons, 44.5%. That is really, really good. Very effective. And then the last one for me, 39% from the right corner. Very bad when you consider shooting almost 45% from the other side, but that's obviously very good. That keeps you more than above water if you're having a kick to him because of the ways that defenses are tilting towards Devin Booker or Jalen Green, or they're trying to cover a roller like Mark Williams. Last one, very, very low volume of attempts. Wanted to just throw it up there and break glass in case of emergency situations. 38.5% on about maybe 40 or 50 pull-up 3-point attempts over the last 3 seasons. Not something he leans into a lot at all. We probably will never see it with the Suns. But you see, he clearly has touch from beyond the arc, in particular from the corners.
Hello, to answer your question. So why wasn't he on a team this year? Was injured coming into the year, then was part of a trade from Miami to Brooklyn, correct? And then they decided to release him, thus making him a free agent and giving the Suns a chance to sign him. So it really wasn't a matter of, oh, this was some guy that wasn't in the league just kind of kicking it and finally found a contract. This was a guy that was working his way back and has some promise there with it. And you look at those numbers shooting from deep. I mean, this is exactly the kind of guy. Like we say it and you talk about it and you say, oh, like a Jordan Goodwin, in terms of the tangibles, or and you look at what he's able to do from deep, and you see how this could, impact the Suns in a very big way down the stretch. Now, he's not going to be our dude of the night constantly. That's not the case.
Collar, though.
Yes, exactly.
The competition just got a lot more contentious. I guess to kind of further answer Hello's question as well, Highsmith is a very defensive-minded guy. The Nets are not a defensive team. They're not
trying to win.
They don't have any interest in playing defense in particular. That's a direct kind of contrast of interest. And it felt like it made sense for both parties to kind of go their separate ways. He can go to a team that, for one, is kind of playing for a little bit more than what Brooklyn is right now, but also has some similar interests and care factor on the less glamorous side of the ball.
Well, and at 29, he would have been an unk on the Nets.
He's an unk here too. Well,
I mean, that's fair.
He's the same age as Devin. Royce is the only person older than both of them right now. So yeah.
But in Brooklyn, I mean, he had like
sure.
6 years.
It's like an 8-year gap. Yeah, for sure.
They asked Haywood Highsmith what 6'7" is, and he was like, opposite height in college. I don't know.
I was gonna say the funny thing too, with speaking about the volume, looking at, he was like 3.1 threes per game last year. I was looking at this roster this year. Ryan Dunn 2.5 per game. Jordan Goodwin 4.4 per game. So he's like right in between that. And as you mentioned on the audio only, if he's shooting at that high of a clip, they're going to tell him, hey, make that 3.15.1 or shoot when you get the opportunity to do so. I mean, we've seen Amir Coffey take 6 threes in 2 games already with this team. So
that's more than he took in his entire time in Milwaukee.
So they're encouraging him to do that. So I think that'll be the same thing with Haywood Highsmith.
Well, and with Highsmith as well, and I don't have the numbers to back this up. I'm not a huge numbers guy, but it feels like a large portion of Ryan Dunn's threes have been corner threes.
Yes,
and
for sure.
When he makes them, it's this huge moment, right? Because that has been something that we all keep our eyes on. If Haywood Highsmith just takes corner threes, right, and he's shooting about 40% from it, that keeps this offense afloat when maybe Devin Booker's not there, or if Jalen Green is playing and not on the court, or he's not playing at all, or if Royce isn't hitting. Having one more guy who can take those shots if Ryan Dunn isn't hitting them, that's going to be really important. Plus, like you said about taking more threes, how many guys are we talking about this season, both around Haywood Highsmith's age and younger, that are having offensive revelations under Jordan Ott? Like Royce O'Neal. Right? Royce O'Neal is having one of the best offensive seasons of his career, and he's the oldest guy on this team. Dillon Brooks is having one of the best probably the best offensive season of his career. Colin Gillette, like, there's so many different types of guys that have come into Phoenix and that have gotten better. If Haywood Highsmith is just marginally better on offense, set up to what his strengths are, which are clear based off of some of that three-point shooting, they might be able to get more out of him than some people would expect, to where if this guy was healthy, he'd be on a team. Like, if he was healthy at the beginning of the season, there's no way that he'd just be signing with somebody right now. He's not some guy that's just getting a shot in the league. This is a bona fide NBA rotation and role player. Not a star, but somebody who could get minutes on probably all of the best teams in the league. This guy would play for OKC. If he was on OKC, he'd play for Denver. He'd play for Boston. He'd played for Detroit. I don't think there's a single contending team that Haywood Highsmith would not get at least 5 minutes a game.
Well, and he supposedly had multiple playoff teams interested in bringing him in, and the Suns were the ones that wound up winning out. And I'm guessing it is because of play style and how they've appreciated guys like him, and a little bit of he watched Matt Ishbia in the celebrity game and did the Leo DiCaprio,
the Spider-Man meme,
or the Spider-Man, and went, hey, I see myself in that guy. So
just as you pointed out, I was curious. 29 of Ryan Dunn's 39 threes this year from either corner, and 87 of his 120 3-point attempts are from the corner. So it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there for him in this offense.
So to that point, I think what matters for Highsmith coming in, and why I feel, no pun intended, high about his potential and impact for the team, I feel like they play a style or brand of basketball that he already plays in his individual qualities. So talk about the corner threes. I didn't bring up the Suns' corner 3-point numbers as a team, but what I can speak to is their process for spacing. Ryan takes a lot of corner threes because oftentimes he's starting in one corner. When they get into their movement offense in terms of their spacing, he's running from one corner, hanging out in the dunker spot for a second if a shot goes up. Otherwise, he's going out of one corner and entering into the opposite corner. So that now once things happen, he's still at home, but he's just kind of shifted the roles of the defense. Haywood Highsmith is someone that can clearly play into that exact same role while also manipulating that kind of dunker spot area in a way that no other Suns small does, and probably doing it better than anybody on the team outside of Mark Williams and maybe a little bit of Oso Ighodaro. So I think that part matters in terms of the hand and glove fit nature. Other part that we don't have stats for, but I brought to the conversation, offensive rebounding. So the Suns want to be a team that's winning the possession battle. Jordan Ott calls them high possession earners. You have to be a possession earner or possession gainer in some capacity. On the offensive side, offensive rebounds. The Suns as a team, starting with this, 84 possessions, non-garbage time of small ball minutes. I think adding Amir Coffey and adding Haywood Highsmith allows them to play smaller. You can't get bigger, so be better playing small. If you feel more comfortable and you can throw more iterations of wings around Devin and Jalen while still getting possessions in the way that you need to, I think that can help you a lot. Those non-garbage time minutes with no 5 on the floor, 138.1 offensive rating. Only 84 possessions, but that is like beyond historic in terms of the level they're operating in. And they're shooting 57.5% from the field on those. They're also getting to the free throw line almost 44% of the time on the court with those lineups. So if you can lean into those more, that's what you want. The defensive side has to be better. I'll throw those numbers out there later. But I think Highsmith helps with all of those things. And then to his offensive rebounding, he would be 5th on the Suns in terms of what he's shown to be his offensive rebound rate the last 3 years. That's another added bonus.
Sandman brings up the height aspect, though. And I know everybody thinks this team needs more size. Do they, or is this a guy that plays bigger than he actually is, and that can help him? Because at this point, Chris Boucher isn't gonna change.
Haywood Highsmith is a better player than Chris Boucher.
That's my thought. Like, is there a better big out there that you were gonna add than a guy that can play bigger than his 6'5" height suggests?
I think that's what stood out. Maybe I mentioned it when we start talking about our first impressions, but when you go on his basketball reference page or whatever, it lists him as a small forward and a power forward. Like, this is a guy who has played up, and we know how the Heat tend to play in their lineups, especially in recent years. He's had to play bigger than he actually is. It's also a mark that a lot of guys who play lower level college basketball, speaking of somebody who played Division II basketball at 6'3", having to play like a big man, he's probably had to play like a big man during times in his career. So those skills don't go away. Talk about the way he crashed the glass. Ultimately kind of just feels like one of those toolsy guys who he doesn't really have a position. He just does a lot of stuff. Obviously, you know you're going to give up size when you are limited in that department, but at the same time, there are ways that you can mask that. Play faster than the other teams. Can you run the other team's big guys off the court? Can you use your size to your advantage in the lineups that we see with Oso and Mark? Can you have the type of small ball personnel to have better small ball lineups? I think the biggest thing that they've done by adding Coffey and adding Highsmith, you have more versatility now in the types of small ball lineups you can employ. So I'll be very curious and excited to see how they do that moving forward.
Well, and look, yes, they need more size in general, right? We talked about it all trade deadline. We know the defensive rebounding has been a problem. Nobody up here is saying that that's not true. But it's the buyout market. You are not shopping at, a designer store. Like, you're at a secondhand store right now. These are coats that people didn't want to wear anymore for whatever reason, but sometimes you can find a great part that can go into your daily rotation because somebody else gave up on them. Haywood Highsmith, I feel like, is probably the best buyout player out there. Now, again, that does not mean he's going to come in here and change this team fundamentally, but I do think that he plays. I'm pretty confident that he's going to play based off of what he's shown in the league. And it's not just the shooting. And before we get into maybe who he could play alongside with, Steven, I know you brought one more set of numbers pertaining to what Haywood Highsmith can bring on the defensive side of the ball to also fit into what the identity that's been established here is.
Yeah, that's where the breadth of his impact is going to be felt, seen, and probably romanticized over if you've been enjoying the season that Jordan Goodwin's been having. So looking at Haywood Highsmith defensively over the last 3 seasons, we start with his steal rate. 1.9% of the possessions he's on the floor, he's garnering a steal in some capacity. That's really good. I imagine when he's on the floor with a bunch of other guys that do that well too, that number is going to uptick. Speaking of uptick, his block rate of 2% is also very, very good considering what position he plays. I went back and watched all of his steals and all of his blocks over the last 3 years. The blocks he gets are more so a guy's committing to a layup or a shot, and he's stripping it while they're in the act of shooting, which constitutes as a statistical block on the categories. But he also is good with rim protection. He can be a low man and walling up at the rim and doing the same in transition. 357 deflections. He is a guy that gets a lot of deflections. I feel like watching his steals, he got a lot of the kind of volleyball tap into the air type steals on the ball. There's a certain type of defender you have to be in wingspan, but also in reaction time to get as many deflections on the ball as he does. 81 loose balls recovered. I mean, again, if you enjoy Jordan Goodwin, he's one of the best in the league at any time there's a 50-50. It feels like it's 95-5 in favor of him. You add another player with a bigger, longer wingspan that does a lot of those things, that helps you earn those possessions. Miami Heat's defense was generally better when he was on the floor. 24% blow-by percentage is very good for players that defended as many drives as he has the last 3 seasons. And then the last one for me, in terms of pick and roll, which is where he'll be spending a lot of time at the point of attack. Keeping plays under a point per chance when he's at the point of attack guarding ball handlers. That means he navigates screens well. His block and steal rate and deflection rate come into that as well. He's just a very good tone setter that can do more than just defend on the ball for a team.
Well, and you mentioned the longer wingspan, just so everybody's on the same page. This guy has a 7-foot wingspan, right? So he's 6'5", but a 7-foot wingspan is huge.
So you can touch the ground while standing straight up.
Yeah,
So
literally.
he's bigger. He's much bigger than 6'5" suggests he is.
Yeah, and we talk about the offensive fit for him. Oh, the corner threes, and Jordan Ott's gotten the most out of all these guys offensively. The calling card of this Suns team has been their defense, specifically a lot of these strengths that Steven just highlighted. Him maybe being able not just to fit into that system, but play alongside some of these other players that have already, made their mark defensively, might use his strengths even better than where it was in Miami.
Absolutely. And I think thinking so much about this team specifically, how oftentimes we say it, like the best offense is great defense. So being disruptive, forcing turnovers, and also the biggest thing in the NBA, right? This is a talent-based league, as most professional leagues are, but especially in the NBA, you have another person that you can go trust to make life difficult for whoever the opponent wants to make their number one option. So if you can just get 3-5 minutes of Haywood Highsmith or partial possessions of him making life difficult for you and keeping it fresh. And also the defenders now, just like an offensive profile, you have different strengths as a defender. So now you can throw different types of defenders that are good at doing different things and disrupting you in different ways. Sometimes it might be off the ball. Sometimes it might be on the ball. It might be in help side. Just seeing that 7-foot wingspan there, thinking twice about the driving lane or what have you. So just adding another look and more versatility and more ways to be disruptive defensively, I think will mean a lot for this team on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, Kevin from Mesa has a good nickname for the team, the Dog Pound, or the Pound. They're full of dogs, and Highsmith fits that. And defensively, it's going to be interesting. I know people are stuck on the size thing, and to me, this is like I went in and I wanted to buy a Highlander because I thought those 3 rows would be great. I left with a RAV4, still good, going to do the kind of things that I wanted to, a little smaller than I thought I was going to get. And to me, that's fine. You weren't going to find a perfect fit when to your point, Eric, you can't have Nordstrom taste on a Walmart budget, right? It's just not going to happen.
No free ads.
I mean, you can, but you're not going to get what you want. And that's the reality with the buyout market. In most cases, you're not going to find a guy that's actually going to play. Haywood Highsmith is going to give you minutes as long as he's healthy.
Oh, he's a puzzle piece, and I think that part is as obvious as anything from the numbers that we've shown. We'll have a Highsmith film session up over the next few days, so you'll be able to kind of see what it is we're speaking to with his impact and how it felt for the teams that he's on. But, I mean, going back to the small ball lineups, again, only 84 possessions and non-garbage time minutes. Those lineups that the Suns have used have not had a good showing on that end. If they're going small ball, it's not for offense. It's for defense. It's to speed up a game, find their way into transition more often, and be able to put pressure in an unrelenting way on their opponents. 122.6 defensive rating in those 84 non-garbage time possessions. Not going to get it done. Teams are shooting 57.8%, also not even close to getting it done. They also only have a defensive turnover rate of 13.1%. On the season, the team has an 18 and some change defensive turnover rate. So they want to see those numbers get a lot closer to what it is when they're in their traditional lineups defensively when they decide to downsize. Highsmith helps them kind of unlock those lineups in a way that prior to him and Coffee being added, they just didn't have the capital to do. And I think the other part with him on the defensive end is when he is spending time on the floor in traditional lineups, he's also a good screen navigator off the ball. I think that's where most of the Suns' issues have come this season, trying to navigate screens and handoffs without getting clipped, but being able to get back to the ball handler without having to force your big to be engaged, which then bleeds into your defensive rebounding ability.
You talk about lineups. That's exactly what we're going to get into. Where do we see Haywood Highsmith fitting in, and who maybe would be the best combination to unlock the best out of Haywood Highsmith and the Suns plus All-Star Weekend talk, all coming your way on the other side of our final break. Obviously, you got to come hang out with us this Thursday at Gila River Resorts and Casinos for our watch party as the Suns take on the Spurs, but there's so much more to do at Gila River Resorts and Casinos than just our watch party, including the fabulous Corvette giveaway. You can drive into excitement January 16th through April 24th, 4 casinos, 4 Corvettes, 4 chances to win big. Steven, would you like to drive a Corvette?
Of course.
Espo, would you like to drive a Corvette?
No, but I'd like to give one to my wife.
Oh, there you go. Gil, would you like to drive a Corvette?
Yes.
Now you seem selfish.
I have
After
the
that.
right, I have the right to give it to
But
you.
it's okay to be
Give it to me.
selfish. You can, and then you
Then
can
I
give
can
it
give
to
it to my wife.
There you go. And then that way we all feel good. Look, I absolutely would like to drive a Corvette, and you can join us at Wild Horse Pass, Vequiva, Lone Butte, Santan Mountain, as you can qualify on Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. with hourly drawings for a free bonus play or a finale entry. Tuesdays and Saturdays earn 4 times entries, and Thursdays, hot seat finale qualifier. Don't miss your chance to accelerate into luxury play, earn, and win at any of their 4 casino locations.
Got to tell you about husband and wife law team. I've told you guys a million times now, but I was in an accident that was pretty brutal. Got hit by a drunk driver with my family in the car, and that is tough enough. But then I had to find a lawyer, and I made the wrong choice because I did not do my research. If you do your research, it is going to lead you to Mark and Alexis Breyer over at the husband and wife law team. They are going to take care of you, and they believe it so much that you can cancel any time if you're not happy, but you're also going to be able to reach your lawyer whenever you want, which is super important. Plus, they guarantee that there will be more in your pocket than goes to their bottom line, even if they have to take a lesser fee. They believe in their work that much. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website in the link in our show notes and tell them PHNX sent you.
We're having a great time here on PHNX Suns, talking Haywood Highsmith. We'll get into a little bit more All-Star Weekend recap here in a second. Good to be back with all of you. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button, please, and that subscribe button. We are going to keep things rolling, talk about Haywood Highsmith, but first we have a 4-month super chat. Kara celebrating 4 months of membership.
MVP, MVP, MVP.
Yeah, Kara Super Chat says, if Haywood can play defense and make free throws, he's good in my book. I would agree with that, Kara.
Half
Good.
of your book. Good.
I got some great news for you. You've enjoyed watching Jordan Goodwin play, so you are probably gonna similarly to Goody like watching Haywood play.
We will get to your super chat bike cards when we get to All-Star Weekend, but we've been mentioning who Haywood Highsmith is as a player and maybe how he fits in with the Suns from a general perspective. Espo, if you had to guess maybe where Haywood Highsmith falls into this rotation, how many minutes per game? Where do you kind of see him falling in when it's all said and done?
I think you got to look at him and Amir Coffey, and you got to imagine Ryan Dunn and Livers are probably a little concerned about what playing time they're going to see on the court moving forward, because you've got the defense. In terms of everything we've talked about, Highsmith, he can hit those threes. Sure, you're giving up a little bit of height, but we talked about the wingspan. This is not I hate Ryan Dunn. Let's make that very clear. I think that he's 23. He has shown flashes. There's obvious growth that he has to take. You are now in a fight for the playoffs. You're in a fight for the top 6. And you are going to go out with the guys that can give you the best chance, the best experience, and the hardest-nosed defense. And I think that that's where Highsmith is probably going to take some of those minutes from Ryan Dunn. And like I mentioned, I think Royce O'Neal, if he is cold shooting on a night or you need to go more defense at the end, maybe Highsmith can slot in there if he proves himself.
Yeah, Espo, I think it's kind of interesting to think about it this way in basketball, but I think it's a hot hand thing, right? So when you talk about, you got your starting 5, when this team is healthy, let's talk about that way. Book, Jalen Green, Mark Williams, Dillon Brooks, and whoever ends up being that 5th person. And then it's Grayson Allen is in there, and Colin Gillespie is in there. Jordan Goodwin, I think, is going to play every game. Also Godaro. Now you're 8 guys that I could see they're going to play every game. And obviously rotations tighten in the playoffs, but from then I think it's, okay, who's got it tonight for us? Is it Coffey? Is it Highsmith? Is it Dunn? And I think that that's kind of a rotation that we'll probably see those 3 guys and Jordan Ott figure, okay, also, what does the opposing matchup dictate for us? Do we need this type of length? Do we need this type of defensive prowess? So it's a luxury to be able to kind of, again, have that run-on sentence type situation that depends night to night. Look, Ryan Dunn might not have it tonight. Coffey might not have it tonight. Highsmith might not have it tonight. One of those 3 guys is probably going to have it. You're betting on that. So, I would expect that when the postseason rolls around, they want to go no more than 10. as far as
Yeah,
the rotation.
maybe 9.
And probably
Yeah.
9. So I think it's just like you said, those 3 guys are probably going to be the ones that battle it out. But you kind of have the luxury to say, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be static, just one of those guys. It's whoever makes the most sense and who's ever having the best night. And if one of them's not having a night, try the next one.
I imagine Jordan Ott is going to go full Joker, break the pool cue, and say we've got we're going through aggressive expansion, but we've only got room for one of you. Duke it out, boys, and one of those 3 will come outstanding.
Well, that's where the culture you're establishing comes into play. Guys know it's competition whenever they're having shoot around because their shoot arounds are different than other teams in terms of preparation. Obviously, practice and game reps even more so. Whoever is doing what's being demanded of that faction of the rotation best is going to be who gets those minutes. It's not going to just be 3-point shooting. Who's earning them? Who's gaining the most possessions? Deflections, steals, offensive rebounds. All of those things matter as far as who's going to get those minutes. And I think for a guy that's coming from a Miami Heat team who everybody jokes about culture, and I don't laugh at it because it's very serious. Like the calling card to getting minutes with the Miami Heat is never going to be contingent upon how good of an offensive player you are. That goes for Tyler Hero as well. You have to play a certain threshold of defensive, have a certain level of defensive activity and impact to stake claim of minutes. We just talked about he was starting for that team for the last season and a half. That he's not a stranger to being met with demands by having time on task and over exceeding those expectations.
Who brings a lunch pail and puts on the blue collar?
Yeah, Hello says, let's be honest, this is insurance for when Dillon Brooks gets his text, which, I mean,
that too.
I don't think you're wrong, Hello. Also, Haywood Highsmith, and Steven, correct me if I'm wrong here, feels like somebody that can play with anybody on this roster.
Yeah,
right? He could play with all the wings. Ryan Dunn and Dillon Brooks on the court, Haywood Highsmith could be there. Royce O'Neal and Amir Coffey on the court, Haywood Highsmith could be there. Small ball or big ball, if that's what you want to call it, Haywood Highsmith can be there. And so when you look at these rotations, Steven, where are you most excited to see Haywood Highsmith? Is it playing alongside in that small ball or with the Suns starters? Where did your mind go first?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned him as a puzzle piece because he can play with the traditional. He could be the 5th starter. Like for all intents and purposes, for the level of play that he's shown and the ways that he impacts the game, especially if his 3-ball is falling, he could be the 5th starter, maybe in a surprising fashion. But if he plays to his strengths, I can see it. To that point, he can also allow them to downsize and be more versatile with that, playing a small ball lineup without any of the centers, including also all of those guys off the floor, them having a certain type of activity level defensively that enables that, and then keeping it moving on the offensive side. So yes, I can see him playing in multiple lineups. I think that's why his addition is very important for what it is that he is as a player and what they're working towards. Now it's just about how do those things kind of come about. But I think he has the opportunity to really provide some impact for this team.
So I'm glad you mentioned Royce. I don't know if I mentioned him with all the names that I named as far as the rotation goes. And Hello, I know you joked, there's some humor behind it, but I mean, honestly, like you think about, imagine game 1 on the road, you're playing somewhere and these things happen. Dillon Brooks picks up 2 quick fouls. Now you add another guy who your rotation, obviously you want to have Dillon Brooks out there, but you can rest a little bit easier knowing, hey, look, we have this bevy of guys who can kind of continue to do this because these things happen in playoff, especially with the whistle that this team gets from time to time. Yeah. You have that insurance. You have another guy that you can trust to step in and do similar things, albeit in different ways, but do similar things if that happens. And that's always what I think of when you get into postseason situations. Somebody's going to get dinged up. Somebody's going to get in foul trouble. And how deep can you go into your bench? So adding another guy who does what's probably the most important things to this team's success is really important.
I like your nod about the starting because honestly, that's not really where my mind went immediately, even though I have a very high opinion of Haywood Highsmith, but he does kind of feel like the perfect complement for a lot of the Suns starters, right? Making life easier on Jalen Green and Devin Booker from a defensive perspective as a POA guy, could still hit open threes, is a good screen setter as well. And for a team that can maybe dip more into guard if you want to put Haywood Highsmith at the 3 and call him a guard or whatnot, having him screen. But when you talk about Royce O'Neal's blow-by percentage, our friends over at the All-NBA podcast also put out, like, Dillon Brooks is also one of the highest percentage of defenders who get blown by the most this season.
Steven brought up a good point about that, though, on, was it Friday, where sometimes that stat can be deceiving, especially in Dillon's case, right?
Especially for the Suns defense. Yeah, because a lot of their schemes are sending guys towards Mark Williams or sending guys
Right.
towards Oso. Now some of that is factored into Royce, but he's also just flat out been blown by off there. I say that respectfully, but Dillon is less of him getting blown by, and it's more so defending to scheme. So anytime you're using those numbers, especially me when I'm using them on our show, you have to provide context. It can't just be arbitrary. These are the numbers. Somebody's good or somebody's bad. No, there's nuance to it.
100%. But even Mark Williams' defensive field goal percentage around the rim isn't exactly where you'd want it to be. Now, part of that is maybe because they're sending guys to him and making him contest a lot. But having an option or having somebody, again, you're not replacing Dillon Brooks in the starting lineup, but replacing Royce O'Neal. Maybe that makes Mark's life a little bit easier defensively, and especially with somebody like Mark who has maybe hit a little bit of a wall when it comes to the conditioning side of things over these last couple of months because he's played so many minutes, having him contest less shots, right? Less of those unplanned blow-bys, a lot of the recovery, which he's very good at, that could go a long way for him. And even for Dillon Brooks, right, who is the point of attack defender in that starting lineup, to have somebody else who could maybe go out there and guard the number one forward on that night, making his life a little bit easier on the offensive end where he's had to carry, a large workload this year. And so Haywood Highsmith, I don't think he starts for this team immediately. That's probably something that he'd have to earn, but given injuries or for the rest of the season, if it works out the way where he's complimenting the best, the Suns bench still gets stronger because you'll have Grayson and Colin and Royce and Oso and Ryan and Amir all off of the bench, which is a pretty great squad.
Do you worry though that Royce has been such a glue guy with that starting lineup that you pull, if you were to really consider this, that it could change the dynamics? Or are we just at a point where, everybody knows Royce, everybody knows his game, and they know he's there, so it'd be fine if Haywood comes in and shows the defensive prowess that they need?
I think Royce would be fine because equally as impactful as he's been to the starting unit, he's also been in the mix with those units with Jordan Goodwin and Colin Gillespie and Royce O'Neal and also Iguodala on the floor. Like he fits into all of those lineups and he can kind of provide some impact there. So I don't think it would kind of disrupt his rhythm. I think at the end of the day, especially after the numbers we talked about in trivia, he's still going to find minutes with Devin Booker, and he's going to be the recipient of those passes off of double teams where he's either shooting or making the next decision that keeps them in the advantage.
You brought me back to like preschool arts and crafts. I was like, you go from a glue stick to like glue, like actual liquid, or like a glue gun. Like there's all different kinds of glue that these guys could be for this roster, and like they do different things, but they also can like keep it all together in similar ways, and like just the adhesive action.
Yeah, I wonder if he doesn't start, but I think he may be finishing a lot of games.
He could be closing lineup
from a defense
for sure.
Yeah, well, and Roy, coming into this season, I know a lot has changed from where we were, looking at this team early October training camp, but by my money, I didn't expect Royce O'Neal to start this season. And I feel like given the starting lineup, we saw the one game that this team was fully healthy earlier in the season where it was Grayson Allen, Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks, Mark Williams. That feels like what was always kind of the plan. So you go through training camp, and I'm sure Royce O'Neal, as the veteran on this team, was like, okay, I'm prepared to buy into this off the bench role. Right? That feels like something that he has, at this point of his career, been able to accept. But he's been asked to do more. It might just be better for him to come off of the bench, honestly, than it is to start. And so that doesn't worry me as much. And again, you always have that button to push if it's a closing lineup or whatnot with Royce. I just think that the culture with this team is such a great baseline that no matter who's starting, who's finishing games, who's injured, who's healthy, everybody's always giving their all, which is also why I'm not worried about Ryan Dunn or a name that we haven't talked about at all here, Rasheer Fleming. Because to me, adding Haywood Highsmith and Amir Coffey, as much as we look at Ryan Dunn's minutes, I'm now looking at Rasheer Fleming and the rookies as, okay, these are two guys that maybe you saw post All-Star break as a way to mix them in. I think it's less likely, although again, like I said with Haywood Highsmith, Rasheer Fleming can play with Haywood Highsmith. So I don't think it completely takes out Rasheer from the equation, but I think it does make it less likely that we see him stamp himself as some sort of rotation piece in the back part of this season.
I think that's the thing. I don't think they believe that those guys are quite ready yet. There's obviously a point of growth that comes with a rookie in a rookie season. Not all rookies play in their first season, which we're getting a front row seat too this season, and we got it for different reasons last season as well. With Bud and all of the rotation decisions there. But yeah, I think that's a sign that those guys aren't quite ready yet, and they want some veteran know-how in the room that can kind of do multiple different things that might be on the demand list for them down the stretch.
I think we're more likely to see Malawach get minutes if, just because of the injury factor than we are seeing Fleming at this point.
Right. Yeah. Injury factor. And again, foul trouble factor, especially like as a big, like, is a very realistic chance that both your centers pick up 2 fouls and get in foul trouble early on in the second half. And like, it's just a matter of, can you trust man to give you some spot minutes just to kind of hold serve? And what we haven't seen yet, we talked a little bit about it, during the Oklahoma City game. We haven't seen him play next to those guys who will probably elevate his game as well. So that is something I wouldn't rule out down the stretch to see.
But by the way, do you guys think his name's Haywood Highsmith? Because why do we only have 36 likes and there's 180 of you in here? Start hitting the like button.
That is crazy.
Right?
I mean, that is nuts. Well, I think let's put a bow on the Haywood Highsmith talk. Any final thoughts, Steven? Strengths, weaknesses for what he could bring to the Suns?
Yeah, he's a guy that can play a lot of minutes, but I think it varies based off of how many fouls is he committing. He plays an aggressive style of defense and an active style of defense that toes the line sometimes on physicality, and depending on who the officials are on any given night, which we just got done dealing with on the night before All-Star break, it's gonna kind of maybe dictate how many minutes he can have, which naturally leans into how much impact he can provide you. I think if they're able to keep him maybe at a high around 20 minutes, but somewhere a little bit lower than that, that allows for you to get the most out of him without having to ask him to scale back the activity or the pressure just for the sake of being able to be available for the team.
I feel like with Haywood Highsmith, as high as I am on Highsmith, there are concerns and worries, but the good part is you didn't trade for him. You didn't give up anything. You still have a roster spot, which we'll talk about going into the season or the rest of the season. Do you convert Jamari Bouye? Do you go with another wing in Livers? Do you go to the buyout market again? You didn't go over the tax to do this. If he doesn't play, I think you're still fine. The injury is a little concerning because he hasn't played basketball in a year and he's coming off of a knee injury. So how do you look off of that? And again, we've seen players do really well in Miami and for whatever reason go to other franchises, good franchises, like the Suns are a good franchise, and not be able to replicate what we saw there. So I'm not putting all my chips on the Haywood Highsmith, thing on roulette and saying, all right, let's just roll with that and go from there. I just think it's a good insurance policy, Gil, with not a lot of downside.
Basically, that's exactly the way I see it. Like, just nothing wrong with adding a little more depth. Could play 15, 20 minutes a game. He might not play at all, but the biggest thing, as you said, you didn't part ways with anybody to do it. It was a buyout market. It wasn't a trade. And it's probably in your favor that it's going to work out, but if it isn't, you didn't sacrifice much of anything at all.
And as long as he doesn't have a burner account, we all should be good.
It's him, by the way, guys. It's definitely him. Speaking of him, or our MVP, Keybon gifts another membership. I feel like every show now, Keybon is gifting memberships. I feel like we should give a double MVP chant for Keybon. MVP, 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 MVP. MVP. Keybon, thank you so much for gifting so many memberships. And Birds Sixers gets the membership. You get gifted access to exclusive content. We'll be doing a mailbag episode for tomorrow's show. And if we have some extra questions, we'll be putting that out for members only, just like we did for our last mailbag. You could also get access to exclusive emojis. And like Kara earlier in the show, for every month that you re-up as a member, it's $5 a month. You get a prepaid super chat. So it's basically like paying for a super chat, but getting all the other add-ons and bonuses. So thank you so much, Keybon, who's been a member for a long time, who just gifted yet another one.
We spent, a third of Friday's episode?
25 minutes.
CP?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Showed a lot of love.
So,
Let's say.
Just
if there's
because
any group
We
that's
showed
going
more
to.
love than most would.
Yeah, I'm saying, is there anybody that's going to show love for
we showed him love
Exactly.
before the Suns team
Yeah.
accounts,
Which was
so
okay.
take that.
So I was unplugged over the last couple of days until yesterday. I opened up Twitter for the first time and saw, oh wow, one of my friends is really getting exposed. I was floored by how long it took for a couple of teams to put together a thank you for
I
Chris
wasn't
Paul.
floored by the Clippers. I mean,
I guess
they
that's fair.
essentially kicked him in the ass. out
What
of
they did, they could have just kept that and not did anything.
Yeah,
Being honest, and his
shout
wife
out
let
Chris
them know
Paul,
that too.
man. Shout out, I didn't get to say anything about
Yeah,
Chris Paul,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, I've only been able to see one of my teams make the finals, and Chris Paul was a huge part of that.
I love the rewriting of history that tries to lessen the impact provided.
Dude, he
he was the 6th best player on that. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I mean, based off of Twitter discourse, you would think.
That's what they tell you.
You would think.
Him and Book were trading 1A, 1B that entire playoff run, and this franchise would not be where it has been able to be. And I know we had a down part for a second there without Chris Paul over the last half of a decade. So big shout out to Chris Paul. Go watch Friday's episode for more love going his way. But it wasn't just Chris Paul that was in the news over the weekend. It was All-Star weekend. You might not know it by NBA Twitter yesterday, but a lot went on over the weekend for the Suns. Let's get to this super chat real quick just about the All-Star weekend in general. It says, worst fan turnout, the tournament in the NBA Cup in Vegas or the All-Star game? Sorry, I cannot read that.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's based it off Friday night or some of the photos from All-Star Saturday. Let me tell you, as somebody that's been to multiple, I think it was 3 different NBA All-Star weekends, there's nobody ever there on Friday. Saturday is a weird thing to experience in person. That's a television, a whole thing made for television, less for things. And to Kara's point, tickets were damn expensive in LA. This was not a this was nothing that was odd in terms of the All-Star game. Now I think they do have a problem with Vegas, and that's why they're moving the cup, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't know when they changed it, but my first ever All-Star was 08 in New Orleans, which is also Chris Paul's first All-Star weekend. Some more love for Chris Paul as an All-Star. But I remember that Friday during the rookie game, they used to make it like the kids' day. So it was like the entire lower bowl was all like elementary school, which obviously was super electric. They were so happy to be there, probably just cheering at everything. Somebody like tied their shoe, they're cheering, they're just yelling. I think they should maybe potentially bring that back. I know there's not as much money in that, and I think ultimately that's what it comes down to.
These kids can't pay premium prices, man.
You know,
I think we see some of that change next year with it being here and HBA's entire push to try to make things a little bit more affordable. I think we might see some unique approaches if the NBA allows it.
I just can't wait for an 11 a.m. 3-point contest because what the hell, man?
Because of the Olympics. It'll go back prime time next year.
I actually didn't mind it. I didn't mind it.
I can have my night. I don't have to waste an entire night watching this. All right.
It was very weird. For me, it was doubly weird because like it would have been early anyway. I'm used to being on the East Coast and watching All-Star stuff, but then it's like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
So All-Star Saturday. I mean, actually, no, let's start with Friday. You mentioned Matt Ishbia.
Blue collar.
The shot over Taco Fall.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
The one play I liked better was when, and it went fairly unnoticed. I think it was the 4th quarter where he dove and like smacked his face off the court just because he was trying to go for a loose ball. I'm like, look.
He also ripped the rebound from Taco Fall.
Yeah, he's like, look, I told these guys this is the kind of team I want, and I'm going to go embody that. I loved that. The whole thing.
Yeah, what's funny about the shot with Taco Fall is just like Devin Booker at times, but the Suns as a team didn't get the whistle.
Yep. And there were 6 defenders on that play because the Grizzlies mascot was out there.
He split the double team before the floater from the free throw.
I mean, it was almost a triple team because you had Taco, whatever, Gen X, Gen Z, whatever celebrity, and then the mascot.
I'm upset because the difference in that game was a Ruffles 4-point shot. Sorry, a 4-point shot that was doubled because it was the double zone or whatever. And Jeremy Lin made the shot. An NBA champion was on the court in the celebrity game and made an 8-point shot, and the team won by 10. That was the difference.
You know what I hated? Because there wasn't a certain someone writing for a certain website. There was no damn box score anywhere. I can't find anywhere that there's actual stat line for Matt Ishbia. I asked the team. I got nothing.
It had to be hand tracked.
Such crap. I'm gonna have to go back and count all the
track
stats.
And count them in.
We need deflections too. We need advanced stats.
Deflections,
we need the on-off numbers. We need everything. Okay, so I know it's funny, right? The Matt Ishbia thing in general, him playing hard, diving on the floor, hitting the shot over Taco Fall, it seems not so serious, right? And it's All-Star weekend, not something to be taken serious. Do you feel like it does kind of mean something though to see your governor out there playing in the way that he asks you to? And maybe for some of these other players or media members, it does feel like it did soften the opinion of Matt Ishiba a little bit.
Yeah,
Ishiba? What was it? Ishbio?
That's right, Ishba.
HBO?
Ishba.
Did they call him
Ishba?
Ishba? Matt
It's Matt
HBO.
They said it all, is what they said.
Yeah,
They said everything but the actual
it's
name.
not that really that hard.
It's really not.
It's spelled
Surprised
the
they
way
didn't
it
mispronounce
says.
Matt since he only used one T.
Mott.
Matt Ishba.
Mott. Yeah, I mean, I think they're getting Giannis now. You saw him talking.
Hey, he was
after.
that.
No, but
He was happy.
no, but I think it does. I mean, it's dumb, but I think it does go a little way because people did see Matt out there, and it wasn't like what's the Bucks owner that didn't do jack or no Hornets
Hornets
owner
owner.
that was out there that didn't do jack after.
Let's get the Grizzlies owner out there with Steve Ballmer, 1v1 Pablo Torre style.
Yeah, but I think it's a small impact, but I think that is something that when he walks into the room in a free agency pitch, people are like, oh yeah, this guy actually does know ball and has played it because it was pretty obvious he had. So.
I mean, I think it's an example of what it is, being an example of what it is you desire to see from your team, and not just saying it, but also showing that you have been about it, considering the team that you did play for on the collegiate level. But even still now, at over 40 years old, 46, closer to 50 than he is to 40, still kind of going out there and nobody fell, nobody dove for loose balls, dove into the crowd. Nobody came up with those. No one played like Jordan Goodwin out there.
Say what you want to say. Where did he pick that up from? Say it where it tells you want to say. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Dude, in the cryo chamber sense.
Okay. For the audio listeners, the only time that Steven legitimately full all teeth smiles is any time he can mention Michigan State.
It's beautiful.
That's not true.
Look how happy he is. He's talking about Matt Ishbia and Michigan State. This dude's
at 42. I got a massage this weekend. It hurt like hell. I can only imagine what Matt Ishbia woke up feeling like on Saturday. Like today, he's probably been in the cryo chamber doing all his mortgage work.
It's funny you say that because me and Steven were watching the game, and I was like, I said the massage is already booked. It's already booked. He's got treatment lined up. He's got treatment lined up already. I know
sure
he's doing
he'll
that.
be fine.
Yes. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so that was Friday. I don't want to spend too much time on Friday here. Saturday, Devin Booker puts up a great performance in the three-point contest early in the morning. Unfortunately, not enough for the NBA script writers to not give it to Damian Lillard, which in general was a good story, but a good showing from Book on Saturday night.
I mean, heck, Dame admitted it took an act of God.
Praying on his downfall.
He was praying on his downfall. I mean, he had 57 points in 2 rounds. Like, it was a hell of an effort out there. And to everybody that said he shouldn't have been out there, shut up. He went out and he showed you exactly why. And yeah, the script said that Dame needed to win. And Devin's a good team player. He said, I'll do it.
Yes, I appreciate the gamemanship from Devin in the three-point contest and just the ways in which he went about navigating each round. It wasn't easy to beat Dame considering the all-time great shooter that he is still somehow underrated with. People don't think about him when they mention Steph and Clay, and he should be firmly involved in those conversations. This is just another example of it. 3-time winner. There's only 3 players in the history of the contest that have done that, and he's in that conversation now. But yeah, Devin did what he almost said he would. He said he was going to play the role of upset, and he almost did it to the furthest extent that he possibly could. He put on a great display of shooting. I don't know what happened on the last 2 racks.
They jinxed him.
If he gets one of those or he hits the name I'm not mentioning, but the 4-ball, that's it. That's GG's for him. He gets it. But I think, again, just in general, you put a guy in the competition, a competitive guy in the fire, he's going to figure out how to compete.
Just a reminder of how good Devin Booker is for that specific competition. To say that he only has one trophy from the 3-point contest. He's made it to he's been in 5 times. He's made it to the second round all but once. And the one time he didn't make it to the second round, he had 23 in the first round, which was tied for 4th. So he barely missed because somebody else, again, act of God. The guy had an all-time first round to beat him out. And then you mentioned as a rookie, he lost to the Splash Brothers
in the finals.
in the finals. Like, come on, like he lost to the Splash Brothers as a rookie. Then in Chicago, loses to Buddy Hield, who had I think 28 in the last round. Devin Booker had 20.
Another underrated all-time great
sniper. And Devin had an all-time round. Somebody just had another all-time round themselves. And then this one, he makes it to the second round, makes first 9 threes in the second round, and then just needs one more shot to tie Dame. And Dame needed 29 to beat him. So
yeah,
I blame those money balls. They were weird all night. They rimmed in and out for a lot of guys.
Rigged
on there.
It's the money ball's fault, not you, Buddha.
Some players with a better 3-point percentage than Devin Booker this season: Isaiah Stewart, Draymond Green, Marcus Smart, Russell Westbrook, and Jabari Smith Jr.
Shout out Dame for spearheading that conversation with Steph Curry, though.
Yeah,
Right, and so the other side of that is we talk about real shooters and people who are respected. Devin Booker is there. Damian Lillard shared an Instagram story message with Steph Curry talking about next year. It's me. This is Damian Lillard talking you to Steph Curry, Clay, Book, and 4 more real shooters. Steph says, yes, sir, I'm in. No, Clay will do it if I ask. And Book will be at home. Perfect setup. He is one of the best shooters in the game who's having one of the most statistically weird 3-point shooting percentages, not just this season, but honestly for his career, for a guy who is that good of a shooter.
I think he's also having one of his career low in volume of catch and shoot opportunities, which if you look at the 3-point contest, a whole lot of only catch and shoot threes.
I'm going to say this. I think that was part of the script and part of the NBA saying we need a good DM to leak this weekend.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah.
Interesting.
My question.
I'm just glad that that's the DM we're highlighting about Book on this show.
Absolutely. I was going to ask, since you said that and you mentioned the volume and stuff, does this fix everything? Does he come out raising for the last 27 games, shoot maybe 38, 40% from 3 since
Bro,
what
he's
he just
40%.
If Jalen Green and Grayson Allen can sustain health and Devin can sustain health, I do think that this is something that could spearhead Devin being much more aligned with the 3-point shooter that he's shown to be for his entire career coming into this season than he's shown to be this season. Maybe he balances out. If he's shooting 4 pull-up threes a game, maybe he balances that out with 4 or 5 or 6 catch-and-shoot threes because those guys are healthy. I think that's what they want to get to in process. They just haven't been healthy enough to sustain playing that way. On the odd possession, we do see he gets a catch-and-shoot 3. He typically makes it, and that's not a surprise in any capacity.
Okay, but let's also be honest here. It's safe space. He's missed a lot of shots that he should be hitting.
He has,
Of course.
rhythm.
I heard from a source. He's going to dictate things on the offense.
Oh, man.
Moving forward.
Man.
They hit from deep. Bombs away.
Look, all I'm saying is it was absolutely hilarious on All-Star Sunday to watch my superstar for my team be phone-free during warm-ups, during the tunnel walk. That's what real superstars do on All-Star Weekend. They also go and win the damn thing. Did Adam Silver save All-Star Sunday?
No, Devin Booker and the Stars.
Team Stars. USA Stars.
Devin Booker and the fellow young stars in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, all the young dogs were why this played out the way it was, because Ant Edwards, Devin Booker, that whole team, even Wemby on the world team. They didn't come out and treat this like it was some just fun to get in a little jog and be done with it. They came out with I want to win. I'll give Kawhi some credit too. He said, you know what? I got to earn that tree money. I'm going to get it out here.
Was it 27 and
31.
Yeah.
In 12 minutes.
So I know this is like hyperbole.
if Kawhi was able to sustain health, he genuinely would probably be like top 18 to 20 all time. The defensive impact, that's on the very, very nice side of that. Yeah. There would be some very uncomfortable conversations being had if he could be healthy.
Just imagine when they void his contract and how crazy that's going to be. Imagine if they did it right now. He's a buyout market candidate.
Yeah.
He would fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so, guys. I think
there's a power forward.
He is such a good basketball player, man.
Okay, but it was fun. right?
Very fun.
It wasn't even close to what last year was.
Okay, so here's the thing about last year, though, is I think the actual basketball last year wasn't terrible. It was Mr. Beast having somebody embarrass themselves for money at halftime. The inside the NBA, love fest that they had every 5 seconds. There was so much non-basketball related stuff last year. I think
was bad for me.
what was great, it was not as, I don't think it was as bad. It was better this year. I don't think it was as bad as people say.
I would say that last year the basketball was trending and they were about to turn a corner. I was fortunate enough to be there last year, and I was fortunate enough to be there last year, and it got very weird when those weird breaks in the action happened. You could tell, you could see the body language of the players, like right as they were about to get into it, it went away. And they was like, and then after that long, I guess 20, 30-minute layoff, you could see guys were like, are we really doing this? They started like jogging up and down the court and like stretching, and they were like, we don't really care that much. So the fact that they made it about the basketball that way, I think it was the biggest key of it all to keep it. And it's tough because that's the one thing they might have to fix. The one team that has to play 3 straight quarters, very obvious. It just so happened to be the team that was the oldest team. Yes. Also, they were gassed. But up until then, it was fire.
I think he did save it from this standpoint. I think the round robin, guys not having to play every quarter, but guys knowing they're going to get minutes. Like Devin Booker got 28 minutes. If this was a conventional All-Star game, he gets 10, 11. Like they know that they're going to play. They also get that run like back in the day where you get a break in between a game or whatever. They go back out. Like I think that's what saved it, is that they had that mix, and that's the thing. It felt like a gimmick. It was confusing as hell before you saw it in play, but I think that's what actually won it. Plus, each time the game score resets, so you're not getting some blowout. It's impossible to have a blowout.
Right.
Well, do we think the World versus USA thing was effective, or do we just think that no matter what, if you had 3 groups of players and they had to play each other? Because it did kind of feel like, at least for the first game, right? Because Wemby was talking about, I'm going to take it seriously, and there is always kind of this trash talk between like USA and the World, and it was a lot of young USA guys and older USA guys. Do we think that added to the juice at all?
A little bit. A little bit.
Is if you go with the 3-team template, then how are you mixing up the teams?
East, Middle, and West All-Stars. The Central American All-Stars.
How about we just age bracket it? Like you got
that's
I kind of like that.
young, middle-age NBAers and old. Yeah, you guys
like that though.
Yeah,
Like under 25 to like 32, and then like the 33 plus, like the AARP All-Stars.
Yeah,
No
I would
free
say
ads.
I would say the thing that's tough is obviously like keeping the edge. I think the sense of like, oh, world is the world catching up versus the USA catching up. But I think I didn't hate the All-Star draft back when it first started. I feel like the first couple draft All-Star games were solid. So if you want to have 3 captains, sure. Yeah. And I will say one other thing, and Devin Booker is at the center of this. Those of many who are freaking out about the future of USA basketball.
Oh my God.
I think it's nothing. I think that
with flags on the way,
with Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker kind of at the forefront of it, being those Cade Cunningham, those
Cade and Book.
That's not bad. That's not bad to build your program.
How many assists did he have to Anthony Edwards in particular?
Oh, Book was moving the ball. Book was the best.
12, 9, and 8.
Hey, I'll say this: Book was the best passer on the court for any team.
Yes,
had court vision. And look, we've buried the lead too. The man that they've dubbed license for skill, the man that, as Amna says in there, the man that they've dressed in all black, played the role of Secret Service. He saved saved Obama from Nikola Jokic. It was almost an entire world incident.
He had flashbacks to the Ishbia Jokic incident.
That was 280 pounds at his feet.
And then he dapped him. Like, I mean, come on, Devin Booker, a world hero.
See, there you go.
Well, look, All-Star Sunday was fun. Thankfully, the best part about it though, those warm-ups. Oh my God. Those warm-ups were. Did you see the warm-ups?
Yeah, must be old. I didn't. I was.
Oh, those were nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. No, those are fire.
I'm not a powder blue guy. That was the one I saw. The powder blue and white.
The powder blue was nice. They should have done it in like the individual colors for each team.
You give me dark blue and a white star. Maybe I'm in on it. I think that would have been.
I tell you what.
Give me like the flag.
Next year is gonna be a vibrant colors galore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Baby.
so next year, and like we have this image here, I believe on a background, but the All-Star game is in Phoenix.
Phoenix,
2027.
baby.
It is in Phoenix, and that is exciting. And hopefully they continue the then that's a great logo there, by the way. Hopefully they continue the All-Star tradition of trying that they established this year. Do we think it's the same format next year?
I think you have to with the success you saw this year. Maybe it's not World versus US, but I think you're doing the same quarter tournament system. I mean, it's the flex tape. It's a slap a tournament on it. It's going to save everything in the NBA.
That's Adam Silver's go-to.
Yeah,
LeBron spins the ball before he shoots a three. Adam Silver says, let's do a tournament. Let's do a tournament at All-Star. Let's do a tournament for the #1 draft pick.
No,
Let's do a tournament in the middle of the season.
He's turning them all into free agents, like I suggested on this program. So
He listens. Basically, are you saying Adam Silver listens?
Watch
your ref talk.
Adam Silver in the news. He listens to us. Another former Phoenix Suns player who's in the news also listens.
Adam Silver's
to us.
burner follows me on Twitter. So. I actually have shaken Adam Silver's hand. So.
What?
When you got drafted?
Yes.
Royals.
Yeah. Back in 1964. It was great.
Okay. Well, we'll keep you up to date with everything 2027 All-Star. We're excited for the rest of the season. The push for the playoffs starts on Thursday with our Gila River Resorts and Casinos watch party over at Wild Horse Pass.
Pull up.
For
Love to
Spurs.
see y'all.
Noah said he's going to be there. So show up, and if Noah's not there, we'll harass him until he does.
Damon
Actually
said
show
he's
up.
buying everybody beers.
Damon's buying beers.
Hey, Damon is a partial Suns fan with Haywood Highsmith.
That is true. That is true. We do have partial. Damon swapped in for Noah because Noah has to go produce cards.
He was the first guy I texted, all right, because I knew he'd have all the insight on Haywood.
If his mic was connected right now, we would have asked him to chime in. Maybe we'll get Damon's thoughts. Hey, Damon, you got nothing going on. You want to record an audio only episode after this? Look, we'll see you all on Thursday for our watch party. We're gonna do a mailbag tomorrow, so if you're in our Discord, we'll put a post in there for you to respond with your questions. We'll also post on Twitter, so make sure that you get your questions in at PHNX_Suns. Like Steven said, he's going to be doing a film session on Haywood Highsmith, so make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel for that. Plus, I'm sure there will be a little members-only section for that. Maybe we'll get some members-only questions in for the mailbag episode, so be a member like Keban, like Kara, like everybody who's getting these prepaid super chats and access to exclusive emojis.
Kara, take an Uber, and we'll look the other way, all right? And Braden, I see you. Always good to have you here.
Say you love him. Say it.
Braden, I love that you're always here. Thank you.
Don't cop out on it.
I mean, he got one
Braden,
last at the end of last show.
got one
Got one last week.
Espo loves you. Espo loves you, Braden. And we appreciate everybody in here talking Haywood Highsmith and All-Star Weekend. Hit the like button on your way out of here. You can follow the dog who's now behind the Mac at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. He fits in with the Phoenix Suns. Damon Dog does.
Pound.
You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. That's Steven with a PH. A must follow for Suns fans at every home game, shoot around, practice, Valley Suns game, doing film breakdowns, everything of the sort. You can follow Espo at Espo. Catch him on Southwest Bias every weekday morning. You can follow Gil at Gil McGregor _. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. We'll be back tomorrow for a mailbag. And if the question is that actually Kevin Durant? The answer is yes.
Ahoy, hoy, Dickerson.
We all silly like the mayor.